Through the brief technical difficulty, you were talking about this girl that had killed herself and what was going on with that as far as her
Yes.
calming down and
And her family was able to verify some of the stories that I shared with them about her after her passing, because they were experiencing the same information, gaining the same information and experiencing the same types of occurrences. So it was very healing, and she created a great deal of connection through her passing. There were people that were reunited, people that met each other,
Oh,
etc. And she had people were asking why now, because everything had gone well for her. Why now? And her answer was that she had fulfilled her soul contract, that she had been afraid to come into this life, that she had challenged herself by saying, I don't know if I go into a life and I'm abused and I have a hard time, if I can still retain a love and still be a light. And so she came in and she absolutely accomplished that. There were 120 people that came to her funeral. She was loved. It was, her people shared stories of how she had touched their lives. She had absolutely accomplished her earth mission. And I said, well, why did you leave then? Like, why didn't you just choose to stay on? And she said, sometimes you pick up a book and you read the first 2 chapters and you're really into it, but then you set it down. She said, anyone can do easy. And that was part of her experience. She just had come to take on the challenge, and once she did it, she was done. So
what I find really lovely in that sharing of that tale is that, one, she didn't go to hell because she killed herself, which has always been this, big, Christian idea that if you purgatory, whatever in the heck they call it, it doesn't matter. Essentially, you're doomed. You've done something really horrible by taking your life. And here she was demonstrating that she was very much happy and healthy, having
adapting.
Adapting to her new location. And the other thing that I find interesting is that now, I love this show on television called A Haunting, and it's always got this evil side, which is, kind of probably why I watch it, because it's just hysterically funny. But they're always talking about ghosts.
Yes.
And when we cross over like that, when she kills herself, crosses over, is she now a ghost?
No, a ghost would be a tweener. I call them tweeners.
A tweener.
And you won't read that anywhere. That's my term for them.
Okay.
People that get stuck in the denser vibration
on the crossover.
On the crossover, they sort of resist crossing over. And there are a lot of reasons that people resist crossing over. One of them is that they're afraid that they're going to face punishment like hell. And I have a whole thing on that, but we'll maybe not get to that here. I don't know. There isn't one. There's no one in hell. I'll just briefly say there's no one in hell. And it says so in the Bible because Jesus destroyed the gates of hell and set its captives free. And there's a whole story that goes with that that's not going to fit in today's show. But the tweeners are people that either fear crossing over because they're like, I ain't getting my spanking. I'm not going or they don't digest the fact that in their etheric body, they can travel at the speed of thought. They haven't reacclimated to that type of a body. And so they don't want to leave. They're afraid if I go, then I won't be able to see little Johnny grow up.
Now, can you tap into those tweeners as well as they crossed over?
Yes, I can tap into people whether they're living, whether they're pre-transition, in transition, just transitioned, or never. But again, that's developing it along that spectrum, and everyone can do it if they wanted to, but most people don't spend their time doing that. So the other people that are tweeners are people that are caught in loops. like the trauma of their life was so great that they just keep looping and trying to understand how did that happen. And they try to, it's sort of like that definition of insanity. They get stuck.
Groundhog's Day.
Because
Yeah.
they're looking for a different answer going through the same process again and again. And those are some of the souls that can be released and everything. And the predators hang out there. They're like, I ain't going over there. I'm going to stay down here. I'm going to see if I can pirate someone else's energy, you know. And so we have our spiritual predators, if you will, that are there too. And yeah, people get stuck. You know, you were talking about people's idea of what it's like. It is incredibly varied. It is very personal, very individual. I would be happy to share a story of an atheist's passing, if that would
yes.
interest you.
Of course, that would interest me. Do we need a break, Roger? Are we on break time?
No, we can do this and then we'll take a break.
Okay, so tell us about this tale.
Well, I was doing a reading for a woman, and her father was way back behind her, like really far back. And I was like, your dad's here? And she's like, yeah. And I said, he wouldn't have been really comfortable with this, would he? And she said, nope, he was an atheist. And she said, I just want to know how he's doing. And so he was kind enough to meld with me so I could experience his transition. And he had passed in hospital. He was still lying down as he hit the other side. And it was so beautiful and interesting and amazing for me to experience it, because on the other side, he was in sort of a quiet room. There wasn't really walls to it, but it was sort of like, if you want to imagine, sort of a shoebox shaped room of where the lights had just been dimmed. Mm-hmm. And he was resting, you know, lying down in that space. And as his mind came to consciousness within that space, he thought, oh my God. We might not have thought, oh my God, but that's how it felt like to me. Oh my God, I'm dead, but I can still think. And it just blew his mind, totally blew his mind. And you could feel it just like rocking his consciousness, because it was just so far. And there was no one there, everything very quiet. And he was just allowed the space and time to adapt to that concept that was so alien to him.
But he knew he had passed?
He knew he had passed,
okay.
But he couldn't believe that he was still conscious, because in his mind, you shut the light off.
When you're dead, you're dead.
You're gone.
Dead, right. And so then, as that thought kind of settled for him, he heard outside the voices of people. And you know, if you're in a house on a dreary day and it's sunny outside, you can kind of feel that there's sunshine outside. It feels lighter to you. That's what it was. He could sense that there was light out there, and he could hear people talking, and he was like, whoa, and there's others. You know, it just rocked him again. He was like, whoa.
Why was I wrong?
You know, and no one was there going, haha, I told you. You know, it was just really calm in there. And as that thought settled, he started to get curious. And as he got curious, he thought, I wonder what it would be. And before he could form the word like, boom, he was standing in that place of light. And it was very interesting what I saw through him, because he was letting me experience his experience vicariously. You look down over to the left, and there was kind of this hamlet. And I don't know why the term hamlet, it must be a cultural thing with him, but it was called a hamlet. And there was a hill that went down sort of enticingly off over in front of him and slightly down to the right. And there was 3 people standing to his right, and I knew they were his guides, but he didn't recognize them because he didn't believe in guides, you know, so they just looked like people to him. And this older man, obviously a guide, okay, came up over the hill. He looked like the typical Gandalf kind of guide. It was one of his master teachers. And this whole place with the hamlet and the guide coming up over the hill and the other guides talking over to the side just looked to him like a country scene. And it was, you know, you hear that term streets of gold or whatever. This is the first time that I had seen the etheric realm in the sense that everything was visible, and it was like it had this infusion of golden light through it. And it isn't like that in all places over there, but this place was. So it was like you could tell that there were buildings, but if you really looked, it's almost like you could see inside of them. It was a very interesting perspective. And as that man came up over the hill, he said, "Hello." And the guy said, "Well, hello." And he said, "Would you like to look around?" And he said, yeah, I would. And so they just had wandered off over the crest of the hill. And so his message to his daughter was that he was kind of wandering about and getting his bearings, you know. And that would change, like the next time that they tap in together through a psychic or medium, he will have progressed further. We don't just freeze frame when we pass. We have opportunities to expand and explore and develop on the other side. There's no point that we're just like permanently frozen with whatever things are. There's always something, you know, but it's our state of mind that traps us or limits us. It's not that the universe or God is limiting us. It's that we ourselves limit ourselves there.
That's awesome. So we need to take a break. And when we come back, I have a question about a condition that seems to be becoming more rampant in the world. And I want to see if you can address that. So we'll be right back.
Okay.
We'll be right back.